Let's make some super cute faces and decorations to turn our works of art into portraits. You have the option of adding icing, so I have some pre-cut squares, and what you can do is add some fabric glue to the top and the sides and the bottom, just little dots of glue. Even though the next part of my video doesn't show the icing, it just shows the face and the features, you can add the icing. I would do that first, then add your body parts. Make sure you don't glue it to the back, but glue it to the front and try to center it as best you can. Press it down with your hands, hold it a few seconds with a lot of pressure, and then do the same to the back, and then add your features to the front. I do have an idea sheet if you want to take a look at these on different shapes of eyes and some mouths. But I'm going to show you how to do eyes first. I like to find a nice straight edge. It doesn't have to be black. It can be any color you want. And I like to fold it over so I can do two at a time. I can draw the shape of an eye or I can cut it freestyle. I'm using my scissors to cut two at a time so I will have two symmetrical eyes or two eyes that look the same. It's less work for me. Play around with turning these eyes over into different directions to make them interesting. I do have a few bottle caps. If they're small enough, you can use them for eyeballs and pupils or a nose or something like that. Make sure you place everything on top of your pastry to make sure it's going to fit and to make sure everything's the right size. Now I'm drawing some pupils. Again, I folded a piece of paper, a piece of felt, and then I cut it two at a time, and then I cut down the middle so that I could have two the same size. And these are the whites of the eyes. Remember, your eyes have three parts: the shape of the eye, the whites of the eye, and the pupil, but they can be different colors. Also, when you're using your scissors, make sure you open them all the way, not little tiny cuts, but open them as wide as you can, because the sharpest part of the scissors are when they're held up wide on the inside parts. Make sure you open those up and play around with different placement. I think they're super cute when you put the eyes down low. If you have room for that, I think that would be interesting. Don't forget, you can add eyebrows, mustaches, mouths, freckles, rosy cheeks, bows, bow ties, anything that you want on these beautiful puff pastries, and make sure to make it colorful. If you want to draw your shapes with a Sharpie first, you can, or you can just do it freestyle. I'm drawing a smiley face shape so that I can have a big mouth, and then I'm going to add in some teeth or tongue or anything I want to make my mouth more interesting. I'm placing everything on my puff pastry so I'll know that I have room. The easy way to make some teeth is to just cut a square and then cut them in half, or cut a rectangle and cut it in half, and you have two buck teeth. You can also experiment with triangle teeth to make them look sharp like a vampire. That would be cool too, and just have fun with it. Rosy cheeks here or some little freckles, and then you can add sprinkles. You can add little polka dot patterns around your puff pastry, anything you want. I just love these. Here's a whole different one. I added some heart decorations to this one and a whole different face. Play around with the face too so that your eyes can be doing different things. Eyebrows can be angry or upset, worried or happy. Now I'm going to show you how to do a bow tie or a bow. You can fold a piece of felt in half and then draw two diagonal lines and a straight line. After I folded it, I'm starting on the fold. That way, when I cut it out and I unfold it, I'll have one piece like that. And then I'm cutting out an oval to complete it, to stick it in the middle. It can be a bow or a bow tie. I just love it. Now here's an easy way to do some sprinkles or like little icing or decorations. If you can fold the felt in half and then cut two at a time. They can be little skinny rectangles or squares, or you can do the same thing with polka dots, which you'll see later, and you can just sprinkle these around randomly on your puff pastry. It's okay if they're not perfect, because sprinkles and decorations are all different sizes. It's supposed to be a random pattern. All right, I'm going to continue cutting out a few things while you watch so that you can get started. When you're done arranging all of your body parts, you're ready to glue. But if you get to a point where you're not ready and it's time to go, keep your body parts safe in a Ziploc bag until next time. When you're ready to glue, we're going to use some special fabric glue, not just regular glue, to really make these two pieces stick together. I like to start near the top of my pastry and work on those, and then I like to work towards the middle, then the bottom. Whenever you put a little bit of the fabric glue on the back of each shape, make sure you add it quickly so that it sticks better and hold it down for a few seconds, maybe count to 5 so that it really sticks. If anything comes off, just add more glue. When you have things like eyes that have more than one part, I like to glue all the parts together on the table and then add the parts to the pastry. Make sure you're holding down everything at least 5 seconds to give it some good grab time. Later, you're going to see me place a book on top of it, and that'll really make it stick and make also the fluff part flatten out so that it's even. And after that dries for several hours under a book, then we'll be ready to add more decorations to it with puffy paint. For inspiration for the next step, I got very hungry as I looked at all the wonderful different flavors there are of Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, and other breakfast favorites, and some very interesting flavors. Today we're going to add one more special touch to give it an elevated look using puffy paint. Now we're going to add some puffy paint to your Pop-Tarts or toaster pastries if you'd like to add some extra details, especially like icing. When we use puffy paint or fabric paint, there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, make sure that you shake it all the way so that the paint goes all the way to the bottom, especially if it's not full. And if it's not full, it can still be used if you do it the right way. And then I'd like you to do a practice design on your newspaper, and this will do two things. This will get the air out of your puffy paint close to the tip, and it'll also help you to get your lines right before you begin. Okay, so you can start by just making some polka dots to make sure it's going to come out properly without a bunch of air, and then you can practice some designs. You can think of swirls or zigzag lines. I'm thinking of toaster strudels, and I like to add these fun designs on my toaster strudels. You can add wavy lines. You can add just some short dash lines that look like sprinkles, okay? And you're not gonna go crazy because you don't wanna take apart from your beautiful face that you already made with the felt, but you're gonna just add a few little touches to make it extra colorful. Make sure that you don't lay your pastry on top of the paint that you did on your newspaper. Also, make sure that you're doing 3D lines when you're using your puffy paint. For example, if you press the tip down on the newspaper and drag it, it'll look kind of flat and not, there it is, and not puffed up or 3D. So make sure you hold the tip above the newspaper to make it look really 3D. And if it dries like that, it'll stay 3D and puffed up. It's got to dry for over 24 hours. So make sure whatever you put on your pastry, you do not touch it until you get it back the next time. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit on this one and show you a couple of examples on how to use the puffy paint, and let's just add a few little things, not go crazy. Add a few little things in the empty or negative space around your work of art.